Today we're going to add the binding on the Daydreamer quilt. So I'm using a pieced binding. I'm using scraps of all the different fabrics that are in the quilt, and I'm going to use the quilt binding attachment to put the binding on, and this makes it so much easier. So the attachment comes with instructions for how to put it on your machine. It covers up the bobbin, so be sure that you wind a full bobbin before you get started, because you're not going to be able to see when you're about to run out. And there's a screw back here that puts the base plate on, and then the actual binding attachment attaches with these two screws to that base plate. And this can be adjusted from side to side to get the binding placement underneath the needle right where you want it, so that the stitch is going in to the edge of the binding and not missing it. So before you get started, you're going to want to trim your binding at an angle and then start feeding it into the attachment, and you're going to need something to help you. I'm going to use the screwdriver. Sometimes I use my snips or a seam ripper, something to just help you feed it through until you can grab it down here at the other end. And you're going to want the wrong side of the fabric facing you, and then feed it through these guides. This helps keep your fabric in line and feeding nicely as you go all the way around your quilt. Okay, so you're going to want to pull out maybe 2 or 3 inches of your fabric and then pull it back at a 90-degree angle. And here's the really important part. There are 2 notches here, and you want the fabric to go between those notches. And as you pull it, you're going to start to notice the fabric creating a double fold, and that's your double fold bias tape that's starting there. So pull it out until you start to see that magic fold, and then you can pull it back some so you're not wasting fabric. Now, the attachment comes with a binder foot, but you also have the option of using your dual feed or walking foot, and that's what I'm doing here. I prefer it. So this is foot AD, and so I'm lining up the edge of my binding with the center space in that presser foot. So once I have all that set and I've chosen which stitch I'm going to do, I'm doing something that's sort of like a blanket stitch, then I can start feeding the quilt in. So I want to put the quilt into that fold and just push it up so that it's right under the presser foot, so that the folds of the bias are going to encase the edge of my quilt. And I'm going to put this on the very slowest speed to get started. So here we go. We're going to start and take a couple stitches just to make sure that everything is moving smoothly. Okay, I think we're pretty good. It looks like our stitches are coming just over the fold. I can see that the bias tape is folding correctly. Everything's lined up, so we can increase the speed a little bit. And just keep an eye on it. You might want to pause and kind of flip it over and just make sure that it's looking the way that you want on the back, that it's catching the stitches. You can see right here at the beginning I must not have had it in quite enough, so I'll go over that when I'm finished. But here I've got a straight line of stitching right at the edge, and my blanket stitches are coming right on to the edge of my quilt. So I can go all the way around, and be sure to check out Facebook and Pinterest for pictures of the finished product later today.